cat is in. Born under the DEI triple V3 sunshine. Let's see what Raph has to say about title of the vid. This woke initiative is even worse than Sweet Baby Inc. and must be stopped before it's too late.
Hey, what's up guys, Raph here. So over the past couple of weeks, we've talked a lot about DEI initiatives and how they have been weaponized to introduce woke nonsense into the video game industry. We've talked a lot about Sweet Baby Inc. This is a consulting firm that uses DEI principles and uses that as a vehicle to inject woke nonsense into many different titles. And we have seen the disastrous results of what they have done and the games that they have ruined, not to mention the absolutely toxic attitude that has been fostered by these programs, where you have many developers and alike who are going around openly expressing their hatred of gamers, of white people, and of men and many other groups. Now, we've seen other companies and agencies as well come to the defense of Sweet Baby Inc. and those like them, trying to back up their message, whether it's through financial funding or through protecting them through other avenues. Now, what if I told you that there is a threat out there, a DEI-powered one, that dwarfs the influence, the potential influence of groups like Sweet Baby? What if I told you there is a group out there, an initiative, that wants to integrate these DEI principles into every single facet of your life? Well, this is a reality thanks to the initiative Bridge.
There's gonna be a gap between your stated mission and the reality you establish, right? And as it has with institutions over time, this gap becomes even bigger. And hey, maybe they want to bridge that gap, but I wouldn't count on it, you know what I mean?
A group that we're going to be talking about a lot today. So think of them as Sweet Baby Inc. on steroids. They not only want to integrate DEI policies into the games that you play, they want to integrate this into your daily job. They want to integrate this into every form of entertainment available to you. They want to integrate this into the way that products are marketed and sold to you. According to their CEO, this is a direct quote, they want to integrate all these policies to the point where it is in your DNA to act a certain way. And even those who resist these policies and initiatives, they will be bombarded with this stuff until they have to accept it because it's a part of every facet of their life. Yes, this should be very concerning to you. Now, how do we not know about Bridge? I would probably assume a lot of people watching this video have never heard of this initiative. Well, that's probably intentional. A lot of these groups like to stay underground and do their work behind the scenes so people can't call out what they're doing. So we have to thank people like Kirsche, who have been in the trenches fighting against groups like this and has been the main person responsible for bringing attention to Bridge. And she has asked other people to share the message, and I am very glad to do that today. So for context, before we watch a short clip from her, basically, we have this clip here from Tim Pool that she's reacting to, where he is showing that people like Charlemagne are trashing DEI. And
the scope of what any one of these initiatives can do may be quite limited. However, whatever they manage to install will get used by actors you have a lot more of a problem with, right?
Initiatives, and he claims in this video that this is basically a big victory, that DEI initiatives are dying. We've seen that across the video game industry. However, as Kirsche will point out, this is not the end of the war. This is simply a battle where, yes, there are some major steps being taken.
There's always gonna be an effort to make you more profitable to some company. And yeah, sometimes there's a smokescreen sort of effort going on, sometimes there's a get you on a subscription, ask service effort going on, etc, etc. But anyway,
against some of these original DEI initiatives. However, a lot of these initiatives have simply rebranded into something much more nefarious with global intentions.
Sometimes it's about the rent, sometimes it's about credit costs and products, you know what I mean?
Let's listen to Kirsche real quick, talk about the depths of which groups like Bridge hope to go.
The website I have in front of me now is the initial Bridge 1.0 initiative. Bridge was set up as a DEI monitoring system. They were responsible for seeing how well DEI was working. And after years of having DEI as hiring practices or as marketing techniques, they even agreed with what Charlemagne in your video said, and many others still say today. No one likes going to the diversity meetings. No one likes having to listen to any of these. They just do it to check a box. And Bridge is making it so it's no longer just checking the box. You will be doing the work. They're going to be making DEI a tenet, a part of the job for every employee. Are you a programmer? Are you a 3D designer? Are you a cashier? Are you some sort of shelf stocking worker? This is going to be part of your job as well, unfortunately.
I'd like to hear the details because it's still gonna be just checking a box in the grand scheme of things, because how are you gonna actually make this deliver progress in terms of diversity, inclusion, equity? How are you gonna do that? Well, would have to help workers and people who otherwise don't own a lot come to find their common cause in demanding better, demanding a decent living and a seat at the table, right? So if you want diversity, inclusion, equity, well, you gotta work together with the broad masses of people. So one way or another, it's gonna be self-defeating. And so I'm worrying more about what is being installed more than, okay, what do they put on the lid?
They want to make it the fabric of the company. And they want to even change consumer opinion.
But they won't change my opinion, Kirsche!
It doesn't matter if they actually change the way you specifically as an individual think. You will have no escape. You will have no entertainment that isn't
I'd like to hear the specifics.
Touched by DEI. You will have no company with which to buy your products from that isn't touched by DEI. And it doesn't matter if they don't actually change your mind if you cannot escape it and you cannot give alternative people money. Bridge 2.0 is the operationalization of DEI to be part of product framework, company DNA, and consumer transformation.
Obviously, that's some pretty concerning stuff and far-reaching stuff as well, but to
It sounds ambitious, let's put it that way.
understand Bridge, let's understand some of the major players behind them. So we're going to begin with social impact. You can see this is another DEI-powered initiative here, and you can see from their official Twitter account, they have barely any followers, and that is very common with all of these initiatives, okay? They always have a very, very small social media presence because they don't want you to know about them. They basically check the boxes here and have their social media account, their handle, just so they can have it, and they don't really engage with anything publicly. They do a lot of this stuff behind the scenes as they work with various companies and agencies. Now, you go to their website, you can see they're a consulting firm, but on a global scale. Again, think Sweet Baby on a global scale. Now, you can see some of their clients.
Just like Sweet Baby Inc. for thinking they're doing God's work, these groups are also recruited from people who do really believe in what they do, for better or worse.
Some pretty concerning names, like the United States Department of States, or the MasterCard Foundation. You want to talk about some powerful groups? Talk about the MasterCard Foundation, because if someone working for them wakes up and feels like taking down an entire art platform, for example, because they don't like some of the art featured there, they can do that by pulling out or threatening to pull out their services as a payment processor. They are extremely powerful, and these are clients of groups like this.
You want to keep the eyes on the ball, as they say. It's not like these companies care about stirring up stuff because they don't like some artwork. No, they care about stirring up stuff so people are busy fighting with each other. Right? That's the worry. And so you're busy not fighting the good fight, uniting with your fellow people who are not so well endowed in terms of ownership. You're busy not pointing the finger at things that happen on a global stage and so on.
Now, if you search on their website, you'll also see a tab for Bridge. Now, what is Bridge? Well, we've been talking about them benchmarking race, inclusion, and diversity in global engagement. And like all of these other initiatives, they mask themselves as this sort of, diversity promoting initiative, but it's a lot more deep than that. They use that to inject whatever narrative that they want. It goes way.
It could be. Again, you have some other well-intended people, and you might even have quite a lot of the leadership and so on be capable of understanding that this is about helping people acquire ownership in the land and the devices and whatnot that they need to live. But depending on who pays for it, these people can get fired rather quickly if they start acting up. So don't think these people are bad faith actors. Don't think that they aren't competent. They're probably actually quite a lot of them a lot more competent than those the worst examples of the Sweet Baby Inc. troop, right? Like there's probably a lot more good faith, competent people in something like this. But so does it matter if the funding can get pulled if they start being uncomfortable? Well, this isn't exactly about DEI. It's about what DEI means in practice and who pays for it.
Beyond what they initially claim. And you can see that they've had some testing. They actually released Bridge 1.0, the beta patch, I guess, back in 2021, where they went around to...
And so sometimes you can have actually decent stuff come out of some of these groups because they are not hijacked. And even if they are hijacked, they can also deliver good stuff. But, they'll be gone in short order if they start saying the wrong stuff.
To different sectors to collect data.
You gotta work together with the people, who you share a common interest with. Meow.
and use some of this data to eventually mold some of their attack plans for integrating DEI on a massive global scale. However, they ran into a problem when they looked back at all the data. People weren't performing the way they liked. So basically, as this article points out, the CEO and founder of Bridge was a bit disappointed because they found that a lot of these companies were doing these DEI initiatives. What they were doing was actually following through, but they were only doing it because it seems like they felt like they had to, right? They were just checking a box, and they were doing something to make these people happy, and they thought it'd be good for their business. So, as they point out, as soon as Pride Month rolls around, they put the Pride logos in their banners on social media. They do all that stuff, or they add the pronouns to their bios. They do things like that because they believe it's good for their business. They don't actually believe in a lot of this stuff, but they just do it to check a box, which is obviously quite disingenuous. But when the CEO and founder of Bridge discovered this, she has a solution. She wants to bombard these companies on a lifestyle type scale to the point where they start actually believing in these initiatives, where they can't do anything else but accept it because it's in every facet of their life. Even if they don't like it, eventually they'll be worn down to accept it. And that is the CEO right here. And now we're going to watch a quick clip of some of her attitudes towards DEI and how far she wants this to go on an industry and a lifestyle scale.
That BRIDGE is an acronym for belonging, representation, inclusion, diversity. The G is the gap in all of those things, and then the E is equity. And our mission is really about moving the narrative of DE&I away from philosophy to operationalizing inclusion as a business practice. Our goal is really about operationalizing inclusion, as I said, as a business practice, not a philosophy anymore. Yeah. And, to your point, Sasha.
As a business practice. Just because the people who you trust least with this stuff are gonna be in power here and there, doesn't mean it's not worthwhile to build things, build structures. But so what I'm hearing here is changing the way businesses are run. I thought we live in a society organized and mediated through a state. So the question is, even before you can worry about getting anything done, why would any company care if the state isn't involved one way or another?
What that does is it removes the dependency of DE&I from an individual personal function, and it places it squarely on everyone in the organization, right?
Now that goal
on everyone in the organization. So you say you're gonna take isolated companies and make it an everyone in the company problem. But, companies compete with each other. So this is actually why you have the state. Because the state is above the companies, right? So this is interesting, but doesn't really do good if you're just gonna be pushing this onto companies in your state. I certainly won't sign off on a war against some country because they don't take your DEI principles on board with their companies, right? Principles of equity and inclusion on a company level. Now, one could have a discussion about other things, but generally not a big fan of wars. So you better make a really good case, and I'm not hearing it here. If another country wants to do business with your customer base, the state can dictate terms on some level. So you don't really get this off of the ground without the state.
Of integrating these DEI initiatives into every facet of your industry and your business.
Whatever thing you install will be used for the good and for the not so good at times. And so when you add the state-to-state competition, well, you may have some type of nightmare on your hands unless you really think this through beforehand and install certain processes of accountability to the people at large. Because that's the only actors we have that have something like morality, which is individuals. You don't have morality on a state level, on a company level, you just don't have morality there. It's only individuals who have morality. And no, AI does not have morality either. Certainly not. Anyway.
And basically into every aspect of your lifestyle is reflected on their website. You can see that the Bridge mission is created to make a cultural shift in companies where DEI principles flow through all facets of an organization, from the C-suite and marketing through product development, procurement, and customer service. If you didn't really understand what they're saying here, that is basically every facet of every company that exists, including the way that products are marketed and how they are sold to you. Which means
I'm not actually worried about this because it's missing the state. This just seems like a huge distraction to me. Like, you can do these things, but then what is it gonna do? If not seek to change the way the state runs in the first place, right? So maybe the implication is that these companies would then increasingly lobby the state to be a certain way. Yes, that's something to worry about. But I look at this mission statement, I don't see a whole lot of thought being put into that. And I'm not here to cheer for thoughtless action towards grand goals.
Means everything from the games you buy to the media you consume, to even the shelf products that you consume will be marketed and sold to you according to these DEI principles that'll be intertwined into every facet of the organizations that are making them. Yes, pretty ambitious stuff. And if you look at some of their models, and this is right on their website, this is their business plan, their attack here to integrate all these things. It looks like a bunch of gobbledygook. When you need about 50 different bullet points in your little circle here to explain how this is going to work, you know you're dealing with something pretty nefarious and weird. And it gets even weirder when you look at some of the people involved, way beyond just the average academics. We have people from major companies like Sephora or Campbell's for some reason, and all these other companies and very important and powerful people who are a part of this. And just listen to some of their views of DEI.
I mean, part of this is the idea that you can have accountability, that you can have economic and other progress wholly without the state getting involved at all. I think this is part of the game plan, is to just hide the fact that actually companies do lobby states. And actually states do play a major role in mediating daily life. And so let's just ignore that and like look at all these things we do to make the world better. We are companies, yes, we are totally apolitical, and what is politics anyway? Nobody should care about politics. So quite a bit of a sleight of hand, and I wonder if the people involved actually understand what they're signing up for here.
Initiatives and how they want to get it to the point where these initiatives are part of your DNA.
And so one of the things that we're noticing right now,
it sounds all so easy, all so straightforward, as if there weren't conflicts of interest, as if there weren't companies constantly holding back progress to make more money because you can patent certain things and you can't patent other things. Vitamin D comes to mind.
Now is so many organizations are letting go or cutting
but there
back
are
the
conflicts of
resources and funds
interest
to their diversity and inclusion offices, their chief diversity officers, etc. And people are just like, okay, so if that's gone, what else do we do? And it's like, it should be part of your DNA. It should be part of your everyday operations.
But is that gonna help the large masses of people who are property poor, who have a common interest in changing that fact, maybe?
Regardless of which department you're a part of, and it goes beyond your employees. Like, how is it impacting the industry that you're a part of? How is it impacting your customers and clients? You know, all of those.
And again, is that gonna help? What is gonna get researched? Only the stuff that you can put fences around? Or even if we just share the property a bit more equally, that's not even a solution to that, right? It's about, so what is good research? How do you facilitate that?
Things. And so, like I said, you're speaking my language.
So I think after going through this video and seeing some of the evidence about this bridge initiative, you can understand how this stuff is actually pretty spooky and how this stuff can really have a big impact beyond just video games, but to a point where this is an attack on your lifestyle. They want to have control of basically every facet of your life.
They just want to be doing the good thing in their own minds, by and large, I would imagine. But they don't understand. Meow.
That should be concerning to you. Now, as Kirsche points out here in response to this tweet right here, basically this idea of I'm just a single person, what can I do, is a bit of a disappointing notion. I understand that right now a lot of people are discouraged with the current state of affairs, especially if you look around the gaming industry, for example. Yes, people are fighting hard against these DEI initiatives and Sweet Baby Inc. and alike, but it seems like when you cut off one head, two pop up in its place. But that shouldn't discourage you. You are making progress. People are making progress in this situation. It's important not to be black-pilled or discouraged by these things because it's hard. It's going to be hard work. But oftentimes,
these things are in place for reasons. There are reasons why this happens. It keeps happening. I told you about stairs. It keeps happening. When I hear him say people are making progress, I'm thinking, okay, are people making progress, getting a nice check for themselves, getting more of a seat at the table where decisions are made? Are people getting the good word out about unpatentable ways to improve your health? Well, there is progress being made, but let's not be too narrowly concerned about the DEI angle as much again, as I see that there is a more sinister thing going on in terms of what this serves. Again, the people themselves, they just wanna be the good people, but so they are hiding the role of the state in all of this, and also to themselves maybe.
It can be one person who can make a difference, or one reshare, one retweet, whatever.
Yeah, you can make a difference. Now, personally, I would say start at understanding the world and getting resources for yourself, and making sure you're working with people, like-minded people, as well. Can be tricky, I know, but you can always get started, you know, with improving your life. And then don't forget, you are a moral lecturer.
And in this case, I mean, there's multiple people involved with calling out Bridge, but Kirsche has been pushing this hard, and she's been one person who's making a big impact and it towards shining a light on these people and what they're trying to do. And you think about the Sweet Baby Inc. situation. You had a lot of people calling out Sweet Baby Inc., but all it took was one person, Kabrutus, making a Steam curation group, and all of a sudden now we have all of these conversations over the past month or so, and we've had a huge spotlight shining on the gaming industry and exposing tons of bad actors in that sphere. So now we have a much more clear identification of all the problems that exist in the gaming industry.
And yeah, that does help to shine a light on these processes. At the end of the day, it's about pointing out, okay, so why does this not work at delivering what it's trying to deliver? And what can we do about it? And it doesn't mean we have to try to deliver the same thing if we take a broader view of the problem. But so, again, the point is not any one label that people like to run with. Like, you can be woke for all I care. I think it's a fine label. It's just, some people have been putting that one on fire. It is what it is.
And that was helped largely by one person making an effort like creating the Steam curation list. And of course, you should do your part, and even sharing things is very important. Sharing this video, sharing the message, and getting to bigger and bigger people. And that's something that Kirsche has been trying to do, trying to get more people to talk about this situation. And I think, it starts with people spreading the message. And, there's people out there way bigger than my channel, but I'm glad to help. And maybe this trickles up and goes to more people, because companies and initiatives like Bridge are very concerning, and they are intentionally working behind the scenes to avoid being seen. They want to put all these things into motion before you even have a chance to react. That is what they want to do, because they know a lot of reasonable people don't like their initiative. They don't like how far this all goes and the attitude of the people that are running this initiative. But for now, that's going to do it for this video. I appreciate you guys listening to this one. It was a very important video, I think.
Alrighty, yeah, that was a good one. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a thing or two. There is structural reasons for the stuff keeps cropping up, as long as people are incentivized to not even think about the role of the state in all of this, right? I think that's the takeaway message I got for you here. We'll link the vid below. Do hit them with a like, maybe leave a like over here as well. Rate, comment, share, and last but not least, stay safe out there. Get ahead in your own life, all the good stuff, and maybe we'll meet again. Meow.